or stablecoin powered cards, exploring how crypto is reshaping the future of payments. Marco works at the intersection of crypto and finance. He's built a software safeguarding over 40 million in production and now leads expansion of stablecoin cards into the European market. Marco, welcome.
Когда она работает. Да, ты пришел, это начинало работать.
Okay, hello everyone, Marco, very happy to be here, and today we'll dive into a very divisive but also very interesting topic that are crypto cards, or that magic thing that turns your crypto into actual money. So let's start. About myself, I worked in hardware, DeFi and crypto in general for 6 years. As of today, work with Uniswap, Aave and big names. Work on the hardware side, so point of sale, wallets. I was peeking around, asking sneaky questions before during lunch break, and I recently joined Rain to spearhead their expansion in Europe. So, what happens when you pay? Let's go to a recap of the magic fiat money before going into magic internet money. We have what's called the full party model, where we basically have 4 different people. We have the customer, the merchant, the customer's bank, and the merchant's bank. And when you actually pay, you are essentially giving Visa or MasterCard, the 2 main brands of credit cards and debit cards in the world, access to the road, to basically the semaphore, to make sure that your money moves from the customer bank to the merchant bank in a given way. And what they call the 2 phases of moving money are clearing and settlement. Sometimes they happen at the same time, but not always. Sometimes you get a hold and the actual movement of money happens next. There's actually a very interesting case in the Netherlands where they shut down pay by cards because people were creating one-time cards just to get the clearing done. And then once the day after, once the settlement, so the actual charge would take place, they would cancel the card and travel for free. So we are still ways ahead to do that with cards. We are still seeing a lot of problems and issues, but cards are here to stay, and they're becoming the most important and most relevant form and method of payment that people use today, mostly online. So what we see now in Web3, as always, it's still a very immature phase. We see fiat rails, so banks, cards, issuers, processors, mixed with the crypto rails. So on top of the actual charges of the schema, so Visa, MasterCard, we also have Web3 fees. We have market makers fees, stablecoin fees, off-ramping fees. So is that actually a really good model that we are building? Are we going through the right direction? I think not, because we don't want more complexity, we don't want more fees. So blockchain and crypto is made to simplify, it's not made to overcomplicate. Otherwise, by engineering standard, that is our solution. Like having a car with 10 tires will not be sufficient, will not be good. We are fine with 2, 3, 4, not more. So, should we create a new standard? And that's a very typical pun of engineers when they see, okay, maybe we need another standard. No, that's not the case. The financial world operates very successfully on a 40-year-old standard called ISO 2583, and we should use it. We don't expect, and we will not see the JP Morgan or the Revolut of the world to change the way they process money just because we go and see, oh, there is this new way of moving money. No, absolutely not. But we need to distinguish the way we move information and the way we move money. And that's everything about it. So whilst we cannot change, and we shouldn't change, the data layer, so how we move information, as we shouldn't change language, like Esperanto or the field attempt, because the world has already settled on a few languages to use. What we can change is the way we move money. And by that, I mean, data layer, let's keep using the existing protocols most financial operators are familiar with. What we can change is how we actually move the substantial, the value, what's beyond information. Let's not forget that once we pay, when we pay, we move two pieces of data. We move account information, everything related to the payment, and we move actual value. And here is an example. When I pay in Ballet, let's say at Starbucks, a first data back would be who am I paying, how much I'm paying, in which currency, timestamp, etc. By the way, this is very useful for fraud. And this will be on the rails of what financial world is familiar with, so ISO 253, SPDH, etc. But the actual settlement, so where money goes, that is going to be the crypto rail. By combining these two things, we are bringing what could be a solution that every financial institution can easily accept, because it doesn't need them to change the way they operate money. They are familiar with these protocols. They are not going to change for us, but if we say, hey, the way we talk to you is in your same language, the way we pay you is with crypto and stablecoins that now in the US and Europe, they are regulated, so they are accepted. That is going to be an interesting way of getting them on board. And why? What's the why? First, we are building what is an open and accessible network. Because opposed to bank accounts, okay, which usually tend to be quite enclaves, small islands, very disconnected from each other, we are creating a ledger, we are building on a ledger that everybody can access to. I am using USDC, so anybody else that can create an account and transact in USDC can connect to me. We are bringing in the power of smart contracts, so we can create custom rules, custom payout systems, remittance systems for cross-border, whatever you can imagine. And lastly, we are keeping interoperability with legacy systems. We don't expect the Citibank or Fidelity to change their entire ecosystem, their entire backend, because the response will be a middle finger, and I agree with that. So that is the power that we are bringing to the table. And this is basically what I'm building. This was just a very, very small insight into the space of cryptocurrency, into where we are headed, and into what we will see in the next, hopefully, few months. Depends on how fast I am at coding. Thank you very much.
So, since you are very well, obviously, versed in this part, I really want to know, what do you think about the compliant cryptos of ISO 2022? Because it's coming in November, and I can imagine it's going to be a very, very big difference about exactly this, the payment rails.
Yes, so ISO 2022 is a very interesting protocol. I see the switch from the SPDH and the other one, 85.3,
exactly.
Quite slow, as always, 40-year protocol, 10
exactly.
years. But it's very interesting because what we can enable is payment enrichment. So when we pay, we are creating a wealth of data. That is very interesting. It's also very scary, by the way, because I can see everything that people pay for. But what you can create is a customer experience that is way more tailored to you as a person. Now, the privacy aspect is quite tricky to that, but I think if we use homomorphic encryption, maybe a fully AI automated system, we can go around that and create something that is specific to you, let's say offers, let's say recommendations, without selling this data to advertisers, which is what we don't want to. And finally, the other thing that payment enrichment, so adding more data to your payment does is preventing fraud. Fraud is a major issue, especially when it comes to iGaming. Something Malta is quite confident with iGaming and adult and other industries, which are quite high risk by definition. If we enrich the payment, adding more stuff, the location, IP address, etc., we can prevent and predict fraud better. So we can lower the payment fees for everybody, and I think that's a huge advancement as an industry. But as a blockchain, technically the movement, one movement layer is fine, has reached what I think is maturity.
So you think there will be no, for example, bigger usage of, let's say, Algorand, Hedera, Stellar, XLM, XRP, because they're actually the only ones that are compliant right now. You think they will be used more, especially for these payment rails?
I think in terms of technology, yes. Like
of course.
We have on ERC20, that's Ethereum, we have other standards, ordinals. Some people want to use ordinals. On Bitcoin, paying $200 in fees. So technology-wise, it's there. Compliance-wise, we are going there, but at least there is regulation.
Okay.
So now we can talk to financial institutions, something we couldn't do even 1 year ago.
Exactly.
They would say, what's this? It's not regulated, it's fake money.
No, exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marco. Very insightful and great question. So to our next speaker, thrilled to announce that Antonio, I'm going to ruin your second name, Antonio. I'd like to welcome him up to the Chain of Blocks Summit stage to talk on crypto spot ETFs, hot topic. Antonio is a Macedonian lawyer with a master's degree in finance and financial law, and over 7 years' experience investing in the crypto markets. He is also the owner and program creator and presenter of Crypto Genzilia, the first Macedonian blockchain finance educational channel with 4+ years of content and more than 2,100 educational videos on technical and fundamental analysis. So, welcome up to the stage, Antonio.
So, hello to everybody.
Hello.
We have a full crowd, good to know. I would really like to know, anybody from you who've been to Crypto Hub Malta by any chance until now? There, so you know what you're in for, right? Okay. So let's put it this way. 2016, 2017 was the first time I really got into the, let's say, complete blockchain sphere. And at this point I was a witness, especially of several, I would say, statements that will go in history. First of all, Larry Fink got asked, so what do you think about this blockchain technology, Bitcoin? The gentleman in 2017 in front of the whole world said, yes, Bitcoin is, I would say, more Bitcoin you have in a country, it means more money laundering is going on inside. 2024, several years later, the gentleman became the apostle of the blockchain, apostle of Bitcoin. There is no interview, there is no happening that Larry Fink is not talking about Bitcoin. Another very interesting gentleman I really adore is Jamie Dimon, the biggest banker in the world. So we're talking about JP Morgan, obviously, as you know. 2017, this guy is even more interesting. He said, again, publicly, anybody I catch that is working for me, trading or owning Bitcoin, will be immediately terminated from JP Morgan. Then 2023, together with Elizabeth Warren, they were called in the Senate, I think, or I'm not sure if it was the Senate or the Congress of America. And he publicly requested the government to ban Bitcoin and every other blockchain as a technology. Can you imagine this? So, the biggest banker in the world, representing the biggest bank in the world, requested for this technology to be banned. Few months ago. No, not even, a few weeks, I would say. Very, very interesting statement in a newspaper. JP Morgan is accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies if you want to get a credit from them as a collateral. What a change of heart, right? So they asked him in an interview again, Jamie Dimon, so what changed? Like, why did you accept now? We're talking 2 years ago, you were requesting from the Congress of America to actually ban this technology. And all of a sudden now, people can use this that you were saying is useless, this is nothing to do with capital, like property. Now it's allowed to be used as a collateral in the biggest bank of the world if you want to actually get a credit. Wonderful thing, capitalism, right? So what I want to say with this is, you know how it goes, obviously everybody knows here. Doesn't matter if it's a technology or if it's generally speaking any kind of a culture, how it goes. First is this, there are no kids playing in the basement, They're calling it a technology something 2013, 2014, so they ignore it, right? Then it comes a little bit on and Bitcoin hits 20,000, they're saying, yeah, it's a joke, come on, haha, who would buy this thing, right? So we have this as a definition. I think Bitcoin and blockchain generally will be the definition of this acceptance of a new technology. And then what they did next? They tried to fight you. They tried to ban you, right? We had the ban in China. We had in America, obviously, people asking for an active ban of any kind of technology, especially Bitcoin, starting with Senator Warren and her anti-crypto army. Let's not forget that part. And we came to the point that now America is the front runner of blockchain acceptance, front runner of crypto adoption. Who would have thought, anybody that was here during the last bull market, this would have been just a wet dream. Nobody could even imagine something like this. Now the pinnacle, I would say, the best part of this is the ETFs. Why am I saying this? So generally speaking, ETFs, as you know, is exchange traded fund. But why is it so important? Nothing goes deeper into TradFi as this. Let's take, for example, S&P 500 is the biggest ETF in the world. It's the biggest amount of capital in one place, in one index, right? So it's legendary. Sorry, it was legendary. Why am I saying this? So we're not going to talk about traditional ETFs because they are most of the time combinations of different indexes, combinations of different values, resources, etc., etc. We're going to be talking about a particular type of ETF, and this is the spot ETF. Why is it so important? Because in a spot ETF, you're not only tracking the price of a certain good, you also need to buy the underlying good, which means if you own a spot Bitcoin ETF, spot Ethereum ETF, it means you need to own the Bitcoin and the Ethereum that you're speculating about, that you're tracking the price of. And because of this, let's say, definition, it means that everybody in Wall Street that wants to be part of this ETF means that in their name, either BlackRock or Fidelity or Bitwise or ARK Invest needs to hold the underlying asset. So every time somebody from traditional finance buys Bitcoin spot ETF shares, in this case, if it's, let's say, the Bitcoin spot ETF from BlackRock, BlackRock needs to buy the underlying asset. And less of the underlying asset we have in the market, more the price drops. So, until now, until this bull market, we couldn't even imagine. Why am I saying this? Last bull market, what was the best thing that happened in 2020, 2021? It was Tesla and SpaceX buying Bitcoin. Then obviously we had Mr. Saylor join the party, but these were the biggest companies, right? And they went in, let's say, in a limited amount. Even so, let's not forget, when the moment came that China banned this technology and the mining, on top of all, Mr. Musk came out and said, you know what, Bitcoin is not green enough. So, you know what, we're going to make a pause here, we're not going to buy anymore, and we had a summer lull and a correction down. Why is this so important? Because before, big institutions, corporations, even if they wanted to, they couldn't buy. There is no legal way for you to explain to, for example, in this case, the United States, that you bought Bitcoin. It had to be through a private fund. You had to literally need to make magic for somebody to be able to buy the underlying asset. But once the gates of the spot ETF opened, it means that the underlying asset can be bought on all the major exchanges in America. And if this happened in the biggest market in the world, as we know, the most liquid market, the biggest amount of capital, everything, unfortunately, is in this place, right? Wall Street, let's say. So, how did it start? We had a situation, January 11th, everybody was literally glued to the screen, watching everything that happened. And unfortunately, when a small dump, because Grayscale had a big amount of Bitcoin, they started dumping, everybody was like, oh my God, this might not be a success. Let me tell you a few comments that I heard at that time from Bloomberg. I don't know, this is a new technology, you know, Wall Street is very conservative, I don't think they will adopt this. And the best part, if Bitcoin spot ETFs, all of them together, can maybe accumulate $1 billion by the end of 2024, it's going to be a great success. The Bitcoin spot ETFs managed to accumulate $1 billion in the first 10 days. So this is how much traditional finance actually has a clue of what is going on in this field. So literally clueless, again. Can you imagine the biggest financial, I would say, experts saying, maybe if they accumulate 1 billion, I don't see it, but you never know, right? 3 days. 3 days. Now look at this. Over here we can see from the actual beginning, from 11th of January, until 28th of July, so, August, sorry. So this is like the day that I was actually creating the charts. They have managed to accumulate 1,290,000 Bitcoins, all of them together combined, obviously. So if you multiply this right now by 120,000 more or less, you can see how unsuccessful this was. And this is the point that I was trying to explain. The traditional finances have absolutely no clue about the potential this technology, which gives us all an edge. That's the best part. And this is almost 6% of the total amount of Bitcoin. So there is a big difference. There are several players that know exactly what's going on, like BlackRock and Fidelity. BlackRock currently has more than $11 trillion under management. Fidelity has around 5 to 6 trillion. And again, if these guys decided that you need to collect all the Bitcoin you can, none of us here, even combined, can do the research that BlackRock and Fidelity can, right? So I will listen to them. I mean, that's my opinion. And another interesting comparison, watch this. So, the only asset that we can actually compare to Bitcoin, which has no CEO, no actual company that stands behind it, the product itself is very global, is decentralized, right? Would be gold. Although over here there is manipulation, like the miners mine when the price goes up, the miners don't mine when the price goes down, right? But in the same time, this is the only asset we can actually compare to Bitcoin. On top of that, the moment that Bitcoin got its own spot ETF, for people that actually really want to explore the market, this was a gold mine. Why? You can actually compare, you can see something similar and see the results 20 years after it happened the first time. Why? Because the gold ETF was legendary. Until today, it's still considered one of the safest assets, global assets, anybody can accept it. Whenever you are, gold is completely fine, it's the golden standard, right? And then all of a sudden comes this, how was it saying, these people playing in the basement, something, I don't know, magic internet money, to a good point. And then what happened? So, this is the amount that you would have gotten in percentage if you invested in gold in 2004, which means you would have been one of the lucky ones. Why? Because the gold ETFs were only, let's say, privy to the people living in the States at the moment that this was actually let on the market. And let's not forget that the States have this special rule. If it's somebody that has knowledge but not enough money, they will say, oh, no, we need to protect you. You're not a qualified investor. So it means you cannot invest in this that everybody knows is going to grow, right? We need to wait until this everybody, the bigger player, get in, and then we'll allow you to invest. So what happened? From 11th, that's November 2004, until 28th of August 2025. So it's roughly 21 years. You would have made amazing 700%, more or less. And then this thing that was produced in somebody's basement, we still don't even know who it is, right? Managed to get, and this is after the correction, I didn't even get the new all-time high, almost 200% in 1.5 years. Again, made in somebody's basement, unreliable, kids playing with magic internet money. Wonderful, right? And then, here comes BlackRock. The guy in 2017, money laundering index, like, you see more of it means they're laundering more money. All of a sudden, this gentleman decided that for his golden ETF, around 63.8 billion is enough. But let's not forget, this is before we had an extraordinary jump from 2 years ago to today. The amount that they had invested in the gold spot ETF until here, before we had the actual jump, was around 40 billion. So it's like 23 billion less. And then in the same time, this new thing people play in the basement with, they accumulated 83 billion. 83 billion. So they have currently 20 billion more in an ETF that exists only 1.5 years, unlike the golden standard, 21 years and running. I wonder why. Again, on my channel I say like this, okay, I get it, we all explore, we are trying to get as much as we can, facts, like you're trying to analyze charts and everything, very well, everybody needs to do that, it's not even a question. But then a player like BlackRock comes, and I would say in the financial markets, there are people with very, very large amount of money that are literally sitting and waiting, what is BlackRock going to do next? What is BlackRock going to invest in next? So if you cannot do the research, or you don't have enough people to do the research, or even if you have done the research, trust me, these guys have done it better than you. So imagine the army that these guys have. I'm talking about technical analysts, I'm talking about fundamental analysts, I'm talking about whole army of people with PhDs sitting, testing, exploring, getting information to understand why is it more important for you to invest 83 billion in Bitcoin unlike 63 billion in gold. And this is in time where all the governments of the world are saying, buy gold, only gold, buy gold. And yet, BlackRock decided that Bitcoin is the better, let's say, option. In all, 27th of August, we have a total of $143 billion so far invested in Bitcoin. Obviously, this is not BlackRock itself, it's their clients. But again, the army of brokers that BlackRock has is calling us saying, you know what, I have this new thing. Some kids were playing in the basement, but it's amazing. They managed to do something very great. So I would invest your 100 million here. And that's how we are seeing every day. I don't know if you're following the ETF charts. So in the previous cycle, we were hoping that Michael Saylor will buy. Every time Michael Saylor buys, there is a big, let's say, title in the newspaper. So you know, okay, it's a good thing, the bull market is still going. Now, seeing $100 million invested in Bitcoin from BlackRock is like a, yeah, good day. How the standards have changed, how this thing has grown. And on top of it all, if you do the rough mathematics, I would say, after the last halving, now we're currently, I'm talking about all the miners in the space are producing 450 bitcoins. That's it. For the day, they are producing 400 bitcoins. And the comparison, if you take all the ups and downs, all the corrections, all the accumulations, because obviously nothing goes only up, nothing goes only in the upper right corner, obviously. We have a situation in which, if you collect all this accumulation and, let's say, sales, you would have come to this rough number. The ETFs only are collecting on a daily basis 1.5 to 3,000 bitcoins on a daily basis. This is how much they're buying. And this is now, at this time, at least 3 to 6 times from what is produced on a daily basis. So institutions are not dipping their toes in the water. They're jumping in head first. This is what's happening. But unfortunately, not a lot of people are paying attention. And that's how we always end up. Institutions are buying everything, and then they're selling to you on a price that they dictate. This is what we are currently seeing. And for people that still maybe think, maybe this is not a big thing, right? These are all the records that Bitcoin spot ETF have broken till now. But practically all of them. First, it was the biggest trading volume of $4.6 billion in one day. It got broken to $7.7 billion traded in one day. Then it was one of the fastest 25 ETFs of all time. But again, let's not forget, why did this happen? If they allowed only BlackRock to have a spot ETF, they would have been definitely the fastest. But since they allowed 12 different Bitcoin spot ETFs to go in the same time, obviously part of the share actually got lost in the other one, so in this case they didn't win. But that doesn't change the fact. Fastest ETF ever to reach $10 billion. And then it continues onwards. We're having definitely something unseen, like 71-day straight inflows into the BlackRock Bitcoin spot ETF. And newest one, June 10th, 2025. IBIT becomes fastest growing ETF ever. So statistics doesn't lie. No matter how much we're saying that the technology is wonderful, is going to do wonders, these big players and their accumulation of it tells the story best. Nothing comes into comparison. And the second one as well, it says in 18 months they almost came to the point of 1 trillion trading volume, selling and buying. Again, not seen until now in the world. We have the second one. Oh, there is a story about this one different. Now, ETF of Ethereum obviously came second, around 26th, 27th of July. And people are not so positive. I don't think so. Bitcoin already took all the, let's say, best thing that they could from the market. Yes, and it happened. Obviously, as you can see, we had a very slow start. But I would say that Bitcoin at that time was making all-time high practically every 2 weeks. So obviously, everybody would like to invest in the thing that is going fastest to the market. And we had a big, let's say, accumulation phase of the Ethereum as a price, I would say. So, okay, people were like, maybe, let's see later on, and later on finally came. If you remember from the beginning of July, we came to the point that we can see on a daily basis like 100 million, 150 million per ETF invested in Bitcoin, and 400, 500, 600 million invested in Ethereum per day per ETF. Why did this happen? Obviously, we all know. It's almost the end of the cycle, but I'm not going to go into it that much. The idea is the rollover of capital from Bitcoin to Ethereum, from Ethereum to altcoins is called a normal Bitcoin cycle and altcoin season, which means that this is another industry that, let's say, institutions verify. The previous two bull markets, we had to wait for the whales to actually sell some Bitcoin and then roll over this capital into Ethereum, and then everybody gets excited. Ethereum makes a new all-time high, everybody is buying altcoins, there is no tomorrow, right? Why? We're waiting for altcoin season. 2 cycles in a row. Everybody that lived it knows exactly what I'm talking about. And now, Mr. Larry Fink himself did it. So not only that we have confirmed in 2 cycles prior that the altcoin season is actually a thing, and this rollover from Bitcoin to Ethereum, from Ethereum to altcoins It's happening as per schedule. Now the institutions have confirmed it. So we came to the point that until 27th of August, from the first day of trading, they accumulated 6.3 million Ethereum, or around 5.1% of the total supply, which means they are on schedule as Bitcoin, just with a little pause at the beginning. So as you can see, this is practically the accumulation phase of Bitcoin from the beginning to now, and this is the accumulation phase of Ethereum from the beginning until now, with obviously Grayscale dumping on both of them literally the same. So what we can see in this case, yes, the Ethereum price obviously has made a little bit of a stop, but this is again, the price itself makes it, how can I say, they really want to buy something that is still not at all-time high. So obviously, since Bitcoin is currently almost at double previous all-time high from 2021, now they are in the mood for some Ethereum. Why? Because Ethereum haven't even broken the previous all-time high. And again, altcoin season is almost upon us, but this is not a financial advice. Very important. And again, these are the amounts of accumulated in dollars Ethereum per ETF. BlackRock 16.6 billion, Grayscale 3.5 billion. Second, because they had two different ETFs, 1.2 billion, Fidelity 1.4 billion, etc., etc. But what's the important part here? We are finally seeing institutional adoption, because these are the actual institutions. Why am I saying this? In America, they say like this. We have three types of, let's say, judicial, the ones that are governing, obviously one more, and then comes BlackRock, which means in America, BlackRock is the fourth stable of government, because these guys practically own everything. And then when you see BlackRock and Fidelity, the first and the fifth largest asset under management fund in the world, and then Invesco, the sixth place. And then we have over here, because it's on the previous one, Franklin Templeton, the seventh one. These are the largest corporations in the world. It's not Apple, it's not Nvidia. These are the guys that run everything. If these guys are buying, somebody sitting home thinking, shall I invest my 200 euros in it? Maybe I shouldn't. It looks risky, I don't know. And this part I love the most. You know this guy, right? Raise hands, who knows this guy? Mr. Permabull himself. Okay. So there is one point of view that I love the most. April of 2024. This is 3 months before Ethereum spot ETF got approved. He went on stage and he was something like this. Only Bitcoin will have its own spot ETF, Ethereum will soon be rejected by SEC, which means that all the altcoins will be rejected, which means all these projects will fall apart, and only Bitcoin will be the standard of Wall Street, and the whole planet will invest only in Bitcoin. So sure of himself. The only thing was missing this Tarzan, on the stage. Good. 3 months later, Ethereum spot ETF gets approved. The guy jumps on a podcast the next day, 3.5 hours, and I'm waiting. They have to ask him for sure. And finally, the presenter decided, okay, it's time. So what are we talking about now? It was supposed to be only Bitcoin spot ETF. What happened? Yeah, it's a win for the industry. It's better when there are more ETFs. Why not? We're going to be more protected. So this is what we would say in our country, where the wind blows. One day you're saying, no, I'm 100% sure. Nobody will invest in anything except for Bitcoin. The next day, yes, it's better for the industry. Why not? They will, more liquidity. We're all in the same game. How things change? Mr. Permabull himself. There will be no other ETFs except for Bitcoin. And Ethereum spot ETF got approved. At that point, to my, let's say, audience in Macedonia, I said like this. Think about it like this. You are some rich guy in Wall Street, you have, let's say, you own an investment fund, you don't know what to do with your money, right? And then this thing, as I was saying in the beginning, that some kids invented in a basement came out, broke all the known records of Wall Street. Again, the thing that you were ignoring, then laughing at, then trying to destroy, came and broke all the records. And you're saying to yourself, why wouldn't I invest in the second thing after that? Same technology, okay, It's a different type of, I would say, in this case, smart contract compatible, layer 1, etc., but still, for Wall Street, it's a ticket to more money. Most of these people, although they, let's be honest, they do their research more than anybody else or all of us combined, the most important thing for anybody over there is, will it bring more money to you? And everybody that invested in Bitcoin got like what, 3x until now? It was around 40,000 when they got into the spot ETF of Bitcoin. Do you know how many investments in Wall Street will give you 3x? Almost none. Maybe if you invest in some small cap companies that are nobody heard of, it's called gambling, right? So this thing actually brought a lot of money. And they approved the second thing expecting the same result. And guess what? Ethereum also brought a lot of money. It almost came to the previous all-time high. What do you think? It's going to stay there? Yeah, maybe at the moment. And then there is this third thing that single-handedly wiped the floor with SEC. You know what they were saying when the lawsuit came up in 2019? Forget about it, that's it. If SEC goes after you, my friend, no, they are going to fail, for sure they're going to stop existing. XRP, not only that it thrived, it moved its business out of America into the world. What does it say about that? It says that this technology, unlike the other ones, is not located in one economy. Why am I saying this? If SEC goes against Apple, guess what? Game over Apple. You know why? Because Apple, all its business, at least 90% of it, is based in America. Which means they literally destroyed the station where you're standing at. And Ripple moved 95% of their business outside of US. They wiped the floor with Mr. Gary Gensler, and they came back stronger than ever. And now in America, Bank of America is the third largest bank in the world. All the internal transactions of Bank of America are on XRP. For sure nothing. Nothing, just some interesting fact. Then, let's not forget that in the meantime, these guys were growing and building. First thing that they built from the beginning is the on-demand liquidity network. They have a lot of partners around the world in all the existing countries right now, or I would say regions, that have local money transfer. I would say they call it differently everywhere, but practically the country allows you to transfer money in, out of the country. What is the main business of XRP? Transferring money from one to another country. So it's practically moving them over the border. And they have done the largest network in the world, to the point that people are speculating they will practically take over SWIFT. I don't think it's going to happen, but still, it's quite impressive. And then, because they did that, they came with the next solution, CBDCs. The only blockchain, private blockchain in the world, I would say public, but still owned by a company, that owns its own platform for CBDCs. And not only that they own it, but they have confirmed several countries that will be building their own CBDC on top of the XRPL, like Uruguay, like Montenegro, like Bhutan, like Palau. And when the actual in charge of CBDC platform XRP came out, he said like this: we have more than 20 countries currently in discussions with us, but we unfortunately, because of contracts between them, we cannot practically disclose which are these countries. On top of that, I would say very interesting fact is that Ripple has a permanent seat on the council that is developing the British pound at the moment. Again, for sure they took them because they didn't know what to do, right? Then, let's not forget the next step, where Trump came out and said, you know what, we're going to build the US Crypto Strategic Reserve. Again, which name comes up? XRP. They just applied for a bank license. So before, they were trying to actually give this as a way of functioning to the banks. Now they're saying, you know what, let's keep this step. Let's become a bank. And on top of that, they already have a regulated stablecoin in one of the hardest financial, I would say, systems in New York. And they managed. They already have more than 600 million liquidity currently on LLUSD. On top of that, they are part of the standards body of ISO 2022. As I was talking with the gentleman, this is the next standard of messaging for transactions between financial institutions. You are either part of it or you're Russia. So you choose, right? Unfortunately, that's how it functions at the moment. Although Russia, to be honest, is kicking ass. Very nice. Anyway, what is interesting here? Not only that they are compliant with this system, with the standard that is going to be running from November, SWIFT stopped existing in November. From November onwards, we are going to have this standard. And they are part of the body that actually decides what's going to be the standards, right? Then they are partner of the World Economic Forum. Again, some small over there in Switzerland, unimportant, just deciding what's going to happen with 8 billion people. Nothing special. They are made in USA. As you know, now there is a special category in any explorer that you're using. Doesn't matter if it's Crypto Paprika or CoinGecko, etc., etc. You can find a new category made in USA. Currently, as you know, the new administration is very, very pro-crypto, and this is really important if you want to be part of, let's say, whatever the new government uses over there, right? Tokenization of real-world assets. By the moment that they have 600 million worth of stable coins, which is actually tokenization of cash, they are already in the game big time. And let's not forget, if you have all these things before, guess where they're going to decide to tokenize their own real-world assets? Let's see. Ripple IPO. So the bank, SBI Bank from Japan is one of the biggest, let's say, owners in Ripple companies. And like this was a year ago. Once we have finished with the lawsuit, wiping the floor with Gary Gangster, we are going to go on an effective IPO. Still, we haven't seen it. They went helping Gemini right now, and obviously RLUSD will be probably the stablecoin Gemini uses so far. But at the same time, I'm expecting this is going to happen as well. So compare Ethereum, even if it's the first and biggest L1 project in the world, Bitcoin, which is the dinosaur as we were discussing at the beginning. Now think about this project that until now didn't have institutional adoption. They even tried to completely destroy it, and on top of all of it, soon to have spot ETF. So until now, officially institutions couldn't invest in this coin. We all know why. Especially it's a security. And then we came to the point that nothing is a security. It's very funny. So imagine when this thing gets a spot ETF, which is already institutionally adopted everywhere. The only thing that they didn't have until now is actually that, spot ETF, which means from now onwards, this list that comes from Mr. Seifert and Balchunas, these are the two Bloomberg specialists that are exclusively specialists for exchange-traded funds. They were the ones practically in charge of, let's say, giving information about anything that happens with the Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs. Spot on. They didn't miss one thing. This is what they have given in June as odds about the altcoins that will get potential spot ETF in October. And from what we know so far, especially from Mr. Paul Atkins, this is the new SEC after Gary Gangster started working in McDonald's, obviously, that these are the odds that we're expecting for all these spot ETFs to be launched in September, October, November. But why is it so important? Until now, we didn't have institutional adoption. The spot ETF is the door. Once open, it can never be closed. Once you open the door for these big players to start investing in any altcoin, not only XRPL, not only Litecoin, Solana, Dogecoin, Cardano, etc., there is no closing. That's it. Once you opened it, you gave a stamp of approval, which means that it was checked. The Security Exchange Commission approved it, or obviously CFTC, depends on, as you know, how they're going to be classified later on, not important. The idea is, this is the odds of this stamp of approval coming in just 1 to 2 months. 95% for Litecoin, Solana, XRP, 90% for Dogecoin, Cardano, Polkadot, HBAR, and Avalanche. And some small amounts for Sui, Tron, and for what's the name, but okay. The idea is that when this happens, there is no coming back. And on top of it all, the futures of XRP right now, not the spot, obviously, the futures, because they already exist, and maybe in a special rule, if you have futures longer than 6 months, automatically you have a lot less complicated procedure to get a spot ETF. They already broke one of the records of the world. Fastest growing to 1 billion open interest for XRPL, CME futures. They don't even have a spot ETF yet. And yet they are breaking records. For sure nothing, right? So what I'm trying to say at the end is that currently what we're seeing, unlike in 2016-17, which was, what we were saying, bubble is not coming back, dream about it, that's it, this is game over. Unlike 2021, oh my God, China banned it second time, for sure now this is over, all the Bitcoin miners need to go somewhere else, that's it, it's gonna go all apart. And here we are, standard cycle, 4 years later, Bitcoin is kicking ass, Ethereum about to do the same, altcoins are preparing to do the same. But one thing in particular which is very important, unlike Mr. Larry Fink and the rest of the, let's say, spot ETFs that they have already, currently in the whole world, only 6.8% of the full population of 8 billion people own or have owned cryptocurrencies. What does it tell you? If you take the curve of adoption, they say the first 2.5% are early adopters, we're talking innovators. So practically, if you're not Satoshi, maybe luck that you have been in this, 2.5%, and for sure you're not sitting here. I mean, I don't see other back here, right? He is in Malta, but he didn't come. So he is the 2.5%. So obviously not a lot of them, right? And then you have the second part, which comes down to around 12.5%. And there is this big thing called the chasm, which means from 2.5 to 12.5% is called the early adopters. These are the people that are sitting right here, right? Why? Because these are the 6.8% that bought before the whole world. Do you think what's going to happen when we have spot ETF and everybody starts accepting this like a technology? We have Socios and Chilis. I mean, all the major clubs in Europe already have their own fan token. We're seeing the same for rugby in America, etc., etc. We have all these solutions that you heard about today. Wallets, ETFs, NFTs, meme coins. This is all adoption. But again, we're talking about a very small fraction of the whole population. So imagine, we haven't even jumped this chasm. If you compare this to different presentation I have, but maybe you can see it in Crypto Hub Malta. If you compare this to the internet technology or the mobile phone adoption, we are in front of the largest boom there was in any technology so far, because that's how it goes. More the technology goes forward, more these jumps are larger because people already know everything, right? When you didn't have internet, you couldn't know about the internet. It's very hard. It need to come to you, right? But when the internet came, then you know about the mobile phones. They tell you, okay, you know what, look, in the States they're using these things, mobile phones. And a lot faster it came. All the adoption, everybody started using it. Guess what's going to happen when everybody has a phone and everybody has internet on it? And this new technology comes called blockchain, cryptocurrencies. Let's see next year. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Questions? Carlos.
Question. So, if ETFs become a higher portion of the whole stock, would that mean that BlackRock, for example, can control the market? Will they become the biggest weight at some point?
Interesting question. So when the cypherpunks came out, they actually wanted something decentralized. They built Bitcoin in 2009. Hoping that it will revolutionize everything, right? But one thing they didn't take into consideration, unfortunately, the free market, they didn't take this into consideration. What I'm trying to say is that there is no global adoption if the big players don't come. Let me put it this way. We saw a jump of Bitcoin to 20,000. Then the next bull market, we saw a jump to what? 69, 70,000. What I'm trying to say is that the retail sector has that much money. Unfortunately, this is the situation. So without the big players coming inside, there is no global adoption. Another point of view is not only the capital, it's the regulation. Why am I saying this? You think that magically all these laws in America came to be because they like cryptocurrencies? No, it's because Trump is making money out of it, BlackRock is making money out of it. They're saying, you know what, we need to regulate this. So what I'm trying to say is that without the big players, there will be no global adoption, there will be no more capital, there will be no regulation. Unfortunately, that's the rule of the game. You want to go big, the big players need to come inside. And I understand your point. I don't think they will be doing anything wrong with it. You know why? Because we're going to lose value. If you go over any of the basic values of Bitcoin, nobody will trust it, right? Even if you try to do 51% attack, for example. Let's say BlackRock and Vanguard are invested in all the largest Bitcoin mines. But what I'm trying to say is that why would you destroy or ruin the trust in what you've made so much money? You will practically make it untrustable. People will just, you know what, okay, it lost the value, that's it. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't think they will try to manipulate it. They will just try to own as much as possible. Digital gold. Good? Anybody else? Tell me. So, good question. Let's put it this way. XRP has a technology behind it. They are the biggest driver of digital currencies regarding payments and border transfers. Ethereum is the largest layer 1. Link is the largest collector. Meme coins are a culture, I would say. What I'm trying to say is that in this case, it's not about the use case of the technology itself, it's about the culture that goes behind it. So obviously, ETF is a large thing because everybody will say, you see, this is the first meme coin that got an ETF. It would go the same for Dogecoin. It would go the same for Pepe. But what I'm trying to say is that I think at this point that institutions are really a lot more interested in giving spot ETFs to technology that can be used. I'm not saying that the meme coin cannot be used, but it's a community, as you said yourself. But definitely, think about it. The first meme coin that got a spot ETF. Who wouldn't buy it, right? Let's see it together. Anybody else? Tell me.
So, if the US government will not implement a rate cut this year, do you still think the ETF will make any sense since when the Ethereum ETF, when it was launched, it had the rate cuts and it was again?
We're talking about the ETF now, right? Sorry, the Fed.
No, the XRP ETF.
Yes, but I'm talking, you said the rate cut, right?
Yes.
We're talking about the Fed.
Yes.
Okay, let's put it this way. If you compare the charts, 2017, not only that we didn't have rate cuts, we had rate hikes. But you know what's the problem? People are lazy. They don't want to check. Let's see what was going on before. So what I'm trying to say is that everybody was looking at the chart from 2021 when we actually had rate cuts. And they're saying, oh, you see rate cuts, money printing, which means that the devaluation of the dollar, which means everything goes to the clouds. But if you take a look at 2017, as I was saying, very easy, just compare the charts. We had rate hikes for the whole cycle. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, I understand that the retail sector is like, okay, let's start the rate cuts and I'm going to buy. But at the same time, 2017 for XRP and for Ethereum was the best year ever, right? They had growth of 18,000%, both of them, in a season of rate hikes. Because in this case, if you ask me, altcoin season is a lot more dependent on the retail coming in and starting buying than on the Fed. Yes, there's going to be a good, let's say, boost for the altcoin season that we're waiting, but I don't think it's without it that we're not going to have an altcoin season, to be honest. Good? Anybody else? Yes, please.
Here I am, average John Doe with 200 euros. Not a financial advice, just thinking loud. Shall I buy 2 pizzas or several pizzas? Shall I invest in my cold hardware wallet and buy 1 Bitcoin myself? Or
$200 for 1 Bitcoin. That's positive thinking. Yes, we go back to 2012.
it will come down, don't worry. It will come down soon.
For sure. It goes to zero, right?
Victor Gimizia says something, BTS, Bitcoin, ETF.
Okay, let's put it this way.
Then
As I was saying, remember the joke that I was saying. So, BlackRock buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and $600 million worth of Ethereum in one day. And you're sitting looking at your 200 years saying, my God, shall I invest? This is very risky. Again, on a daily basis, let's not forget. So what I'm trying to say is that if you don't know, you don't know about the technology, you haven't explored, you generally still new at this thing. Learn from the best. I'm not saying that BlackRock is the best. BlackRock is the absolute devil of the world, but doesn't change the fact that they are the largest financial institution of the world, period. So when these guys are buying, what are you doing? Thinking that it might not be safe? They put 80 billion of it. Again, not a financial advice, I'm just saying. When you don't know something about the actual technology or what you want to invest in, learn from the people that invest in, and we're talking about investing like never before.
Why not my own Bitcoin? Why ETFs?
I will never buy it, to be honest, never. Because what's the point of blockchain technology if somebody else holds it for me? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that unfortunately institutions, especially in America, they are forced to buy ETF. So far, there is not even a proper regulation that allows you to hold this. Because you buy it and then how are you going to explain yourself to when the taxes come? Like, what are you holding? There is no actual regulation for it, right? But in the same time, for every one of us, why would I give my money to BlackRock? Never. Yes, learn from them. But buy yourself a gold ledger and buy for yourself, hold it. That's the point of blockchain, right? Freedom. Good?
Perfect.
Anybody else? Thank you guys, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Fantastic. So, the last speaker for today is someone that I've had the pleasure of collaborating with myself. It is Cyril Bordeaux from the XRPL Commons team, and we will welcome him up to the Chamber Flex stage for a talk on the ecosystem opportunities. Cyril will present on XRPL Commons, sharing the initiative that supports entrepreneurs and developers, and highlighting new opportunities for startups and funding within the XRPL ecosystem. Cyril asked me not to read out the rest, but I will tell you, fun fact, that he opened a wine bar in France. I just found out. So he's a man of many talents. Please welcome Cyril onto the stage.
Thank you, Daniel. Wow, okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. It's a pleasure to see you. I'm really glad to see a lot of esteemed XRPL community members here, Peter, Robert, Inspector, Dilemma, of course, Slav. So it's really exciting to see you all today. A few alumni from our program, so really happy to be there. So thanks again for Snowman and for Bitcoin for hosting this. Really excited to be here. And it's also a pleasure to meet a lot of you that I don't know much about, so I'll be happy to exchange with you afterwards. So it's a difficult spot because I'm your last hurdle before your drink, so I'll try to be as clear and intelligible as possible. So who here has heard of XRPL Commons? Okay, quite a few, that's exciting. Well, hopefully I'll teach you one thing or two, or get into more details on some of our recent developments that we're really excited about. And of course, we're happy to chat with Jofi and my colleague here right after the talk to give you more details on some of our topics. So, XRPL Commons, what is it about? So today we talked a lot about the technology. What's the XRP ledger? Why is it so exciting? A lot of the reasons are out there. It's been here for 13 years. It's secure. It's fast. It's cheap. It's green. All of these elements that a lot of blockchains are trying to copy more or less successfully. So this we know works, and that's great. And this leads to a few key numbers that we like to highlight. 6 million plus active wallets out there, the third largest market cap. I think this is the numbers for today, but it develops quite a bit. And over 3 billion transaction process. But I'm not really here to talk about the technology itself. I'm here to talk about why it's so successful and how we can make this happen. Well, we can make this happen thanks to you, to the community, to corporates, to institutions, to developers, to young startups, to essentially anybody that's for free or not for free is contributing to build this and to make this a strong community. And so when we talk about XRPL Commons, this is what we're trying to do. And our very, very first job at Commons was trying to understand who's building on XRPL, what are they doing, and how can we broadcast this. And so we're a nonprofit, we're based in Paris, we launched a bit more than 2 years ago, and one of the very first things that we did is this, the XRP Ledger ecosystem. So today, if you're interested to know what's being built on the ecosystem, you want to search in DeFi, in decentralized identity, with specific use cases, specific industry, look for protocols, look for wallets, etc. You would look, this would be your first directory in terms of what's being done here. If you don't see projects there that should be there, you can add them or contact us to make sure that it's up there. But this is our main directory. And this is where we saw that this is actually a growing and really active ecosystem. And it leads to what's XRPL Commons and what are we actively doing besides a nice directory. This is what's going on in the world right now. We have about 28 million software developers worldwide. When it comes to blockchain, we're here. Between 27 and 100K developers, and that's the very optimistic data. And if you look at the XRP Ledger, I don't even have numbers. It's very, very small. So what's the problem here and what's the opportunity? What we're trying to do is not to compete with other layer ones to get all the nice talents. We're trying to get there. And instead of having all software developers going to AI and the same big tech companies doing the same things, we're trying to promote something different and trying to build something meaningful and trying to solve real complex problems and real impactful use cases. So what we're trying to do is get more people from there building other things into blockchain and not competing with other blockchains. We're trying to grow the pie. And so to do this, it's fun to organize hackathons and things like this to get started, but we need to go further than that and to build compelling careers and to build compelling path and real impactful use cases for businesses to grow and to build on. Essentially, in a nutshell, this is what we're doing at XRPL Commons. As I said, a nonprofit, and we create conditions of success, both for entrepreneurs and developers to thrive in the ecosystem. So whoever you might be, whether you're very experienced with the XRP Ledger, or you're just discovering, if you're a developer, if you're a professor at the university, you're a young student, you're whatever your profile is, there is something that you can benefit from us, and there is something that you can bring to the community as well. Of course, it's always two-sided. So we do this in a lot of different ways. Of course, the first way that we want to do this is spreading knowledge. Knowledge is one of those fascinating things. The more you share it, the more it actually grows. It's probably the only thing like this. So the first thing we do is we teach. Everything we do is for free. It's under Creative Commons, so you can access it online. We have videos, we have a lot of content that we happily give away. One of our core programs is the developer workshop that we organize 4 times a year. It's 2 days in Paris, and we learn all the basics to learn all the primitives on the XRPL, learn how to do all the different cheap elements. And so that's for 2 days for free in Paris, and that's how we onboard developers. Then what we do is we not only developers, we onboard students, we onboard professors to teach blockchain in academics as part of master's degree with different schools out there a bit everywhere in Europe. So we partner with the Degree Network at Ripple, we partner with SHES, which is European Union initiatives to teach blockchain skills. And we also partner not only with professors and academics, but we partner directly with students and specifically student clubs. Amongst them, Cryptosphere in France, which is the most active blockchain student club, TUM in Germany, which is going to organize their largest student event dedicated to blockchain. I think it's in a couple of weeks. And a lot of other associations, the Cryptography Association in Italy, etc., etc. So we're trying to onboard as much as possible students and professors into teaching, convincing them into teaching blockchain instead of teaching the same AI courses. Although the two blend perfectly well together, we can talk about it with change a bit later. So these are some of the elements that we organize. So learn, giving away content, teaching for free, whether you're at university or not. Then once you learn, what you want to do is build. So here we organize and partner with hackathons. We organize several hackathons a year. So we will organize one at Harvard this year. We're organizing one with 42 schools in Paris. So a bit everywhere in the world, we're organizing hackathons. Our developers training, which I already mentioned. Tools and products that can benefit the whole community. So I already mentioned the ecosystem mapping earlier. But other tools, Oasis, a tool for professors to get exactly the content that they need to teach the course, and a tool that I want to talk about after. Infrastructure and servers, of course, so we're running on Node. And two initiatives that we launched this summer and that we're really excited to talk to you about, the retroactive funding and the core dev. So, Glow, now we're talking about something really interesting. Glow is a new way to approach funding because it's retroactive funding. So instead of you coming with a proposal and we're like, okay, great, we're going to give you X amount, this is very different because we're retroactively funding people who have helped the XRPL over years. Whether you have been debugging, developing special SDKs or things like this, we're trying to thank you after several years, sometimes for some people who've been involved in place for 10 years. So we want to reward work that has already been done. And we're not deciding who will do that. We're relying on you. So we're looking actively for scouts. So you can say, oh, this person developed this and it was really impactful, really useful because of that. Then the community votes, and then we'll disburse the grants in the form of XRPs. So it's designed differently than usual fundings. So we're currently looking for scouts and judges. And you can scan this. At the very end, there will be a QR code with everything that we mentioned that will show this. But you can already go on the Glow platform if you want to nominate projects that you think are deserving of this retroactive grant. That's Glow, one of the products that we just launched and announced this summer. Another thing that we did this summer that we were really proud of was, it was in July, it was the Core Dev Bootcamp. So there's people that come to XRPL Commons with a project, I guess, but there's also people who really want to contribute to the protocol itself, so to the layer one, and improve it, learn how the management process works, how to build directly in C++. So we hosted in Paris for 2 weeks our first Core Dev Bootcamp for C++ developers. That's Angel who was leading this, and we had strong support from a lot of builders within the ecosystem. David Schwartz gave a talk. Mayuka gave a talk as well. A lot of people that were involved in actually building the protocol really supported this initiative, and it's bringing more people to support this ecosystem because, as we know, a lot of you may know, we are not financially paid to maintain this open source ecosystem. So it's great to see a lot of people who are willing to contribute and to making the XRPL more scalable and stronger than ever. And this is my favorite program. I think I'm a little biased, but it's launched when you start building, after you want to create your own business. And we created a special type of accelerator, which we call the Aquarium Residency, which is a program that we wish we had when we were entrepreneurs and we launched our own companies. We've always viewed software as an art form, and we think that blockchain is the way to rethink how we see value and how we redistribute value. And so with the residency program, what we're trying to do is give space, time, and focus for builders to create something meaningful. So what is it actually looking like? It's a program that's 12 weeks long, full-time, in Paris. We host you in a hacker house, and you have to build something meaningful on the XRPL. We select people, not projects. So we have about 12 people coming from all over the world. And each time we have a specific theme that we want them to focus on, and they can build whatever they want as long as it's within that theme and useful and actually build on the XRPL mainnet. And during this time, like an accelerator, you learn, get to explore, have different types of workshops about legal, about tokenomics, about how the XRPL worked. For the upcoming cohort, we're going to talk more about the EVM, which was announced a couple months ago. And at the very end, they ship a product. So since the first launch of about 2 years ago, these are all the themes that we have explored. Intellectual property, decentralized identity. Earlier we were talking about the credential, I think it was Lisa that was talking about credential amendment that's going to be finally live tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So there's always a lot of things that we're trying to explore. And we're trying to explore also edge cases that are not necessarily purely financial. And amongst those themes, so in 3 weeks now, we're going to launch our 7th cohort. This focus on DeFi 2. This is the second time we do this. And this time we'll be focusing on stablecoin and yield generation projects. So our cohort is already full, but if you're interested in following what we're doing, if you want to meet the builders, you want to interact with them in either as a mentor or you want to know more, feel free to connect with me afterwards. So it's been a really exciting journey because for the past 2 years we've bet on people, not projects. Some people came to the residency with zero idea. Others came with a project and a team of 15 based in Brazil. And we've seen these people grow. Out of the first residency, over half of the projects are still alive, even though they didn't have a project when they arrived. So it has an actual strong success rate on the long term. Some of them are finally signing their first clients. Others close their rounds while still at the residency. So there's every path is different with the residents, and there's actually 2 residents here that you can talk to afterwards, and you will see that they have very different paths. So you might know some of these names. Carlos Fernandes was part of the last cohort on DeFi. He's probably the most famous within the XRPL ecosystem. But we also have completely different and unique use cases. One of the favorite that I like to highlight is Ushi. Ushi is using GID, so decentralized identity, to create a marketplace for clinical trials. So patients that have a specific disease and pharmaceutical labs that want to trial a drug. And they use DID as a way to make this connection while retaining anonymity. So Ushi is going through a widespread launch in the US. Agrify is an AI agent that will help farmers across Africa for now, across Africa to adopt regenerative farming processes, and they are subsidized through carbon credits. And there's a lot of different cases like this that are a bit more different than what we're used to see. So again, these are just a few examples of what we've built over the past couple of years. I'm really happy to go more in detail into some of those afterwards. And here you have the faces of all the people that have joined. I think in 7 cohorts, we've had about 28 different countries represented. So we're really not focused on the same people coming from the same areas doing the same thing. We're really trying to solve problems from all across the world, from river pollution to sending money from African SMEs into China for different use cases like this, or gaming, etc. Our upcoming cohort, after the one on DeFi in September, will be starting in January 19th. The theme is yet unknown, but if you're curious, if you know what we're going to explore next, you can scan this or you can talk to me afterwards. And the last part is, once we start building something meaningful, we kind of live in a bubble within the blockchain world, is how can we break this decentralized world and actually reach out to people that are decision makers or big companies that are still scared when it comes to blockchain. So this is the role of our adoption pillar, is talking to institutional players and trying to understand their problems, trying to see how we can solve their problems and how we can scale this adoption. So we have someone from our team who's really dedicated in scaling the startups within the XRPL community that already exists there, connect them with corporates, with VCs, with institutions that are trying to leverage blockchain for a lot of different use cases, whether it's dispersing funds to refugees in Africa, or launching stable coins or things like this. So this is an overview of all our different programs, and of course our programs are all completed with our last pillar, which is Engage. And you probably saw on here or outside here this magazine. It's the latest issue of the XRPL Comics magazine on DeFi expectations. That is edited by Jofi right here on the front row. This tells the story of the people who build the XRP ledger, whether they're at the protocol level, when they're launching projects, they're researchers doing PhDs on some very specific topics. Read this, take this magazine if you don't have it. You will find all the previous issues online. He is currently editing the upcoming magazine. And also, we're organizing meetups a bit everywhere in Europe. The next one will be next week in Thessaloniki, Greece, with Panos from Mandos, amongst others. So we're welcoming you to our upcoming events. And one last thing I would like to say: if you come from a place where there's where we haven't been yet, where you want to organize events and you want to connect with the local XRPL community, we're happy to help you do this. This is our role. We don't just come to a destination that we enjoy and build something. We usually rely on partners on site. So if you feel that there's a strong case for an event somewhere, anywhere in the world, connect with us and we'll see how we can support you doing so. These are our upcoming events at Harvard for the hackathon and the different meetups, student organizations, and the developer training, which is the best way for you guys to, if you're a developer, to get in touch with the XRPL. With this QR code, you can essentially find all the information that I shared just before. And otherwise, I'm happy to talk to you in person with all this guys. Thank you. And so with that said, that's it for my part, from the comments part. However, I did invite Miali here, who was coming to the event, who's an alumni from the residency program, and we thought it would be interesting to hear from her directly about her experience with XRPL Commons, because she went through different of our programs to build her project. So we thought it would be interesting to have her perspective. So, Miali.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you for this day. Well, I started to discuss with some of you since this morning. So my name is Mai, and before going to the XRPL Commons and before starting my journey there, I did 10 years of experience in financial markets. Then in 2024, I decided to do a professional retraining as a full-stack developer, especially in JavaScript. And I started to finding out what hackathon well. I started to take part of every workshop, and I started my journey in XRPL Commons with a 2 days workshop, which is about how to mint an NFT in a futureverse. So this is my first step. I connected with the XRPL community in Paris. Then I did the hackathon about gamification, and this is how I came into the residency program, which is a 3 months program, as Cyril said. I'm like one of the people who had not any project. I had 0 project before coming here. Like we were 12, some of them like had 2 years of a startup of 2 years, some of them 5 years, and it was very interesting to know different stages from founders, because for me it was like the biggest steps. I had 2 choices. I could join any project to assist them, or I can create mine. And because the aquarium residency was well structured, first of all, we are learning how to build a business first, how to respond to needs, how to get an impact, how to have an impact. And then, so this is where I started, and this is how my gamified application is born. So my application is named GameWise, and this is a gamified application for young adults who want to master financial education. We had a demo day like since April 2024, and I won the Juris Prize, by the way. So now I'm about to launch it at the end of this month. What was very important to know is that the solidarity of every people from the cohort, sharing experiences, having like how to build business, and I think this is how I succeeded. So if you're a developer or if you are a fast learner or you're curious about XRPL, then feel free to ask. I would be delighted to have a discussion with you afterwards. Thank you. Right, thank you. So that's our final speaker for today. What an incredible day it has been here at the Chain of Blocks Summit. A huge thank you to our organisers, to our amazing sponsors, and to all our brilliant speakers. And of course to all of you who've come from across the globe to join and be a part of this journey. So on behalf of the Chain of Blocks Summit, I wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to host and connect with you in this beautiful Valletta, Malta. I'm Diana, known as Crypto Queen. So until we meet again, thank you.
И со тоа, драги мои, се одјавуваме до следниот лайвстрим на Гемиџијата. Поздрав!